Get your microphone. Great start right off the get-go.
Oh, I want to play the applause button. Is it going to work for us? How do we do that? We bought new cool things. I want to show everybody how they work. We went shopping. Here, and I'm excited to do this.
Yeah, no, watch. They probably will.
Is it going to work?
Fall in his face.
That's okay. The applause button? No, that's right. We have to have it through. We're going to go through the speakers, right? No, that's right. Okay. Go to mail. Let's do the creepy voice.
Okay.
Ryan Rusnick's watching.
Let's grow polling with.
Wait.
Let's grow polling. Is it scary? Can you hear it? Is it being goofy? Is it being scary? Let's grow polling. Hi, Brandon. Hi, Ryan.
Hold on 1 second here.
Oh,
Now we'll do it.
let's grow polling.
Yeah.
Hi, Zolik. How are you, buddy?
Great. It's a Monday night.
It's a Monday night. We're excited to have you here with us. Now go.
Email. What's up, Zolik? How are you, buddy?
Oh, doing great.
Hi, Ryan. Is Chuck Hobbs out there? And we got.
Now we're doing it.
Now we're doing it. Go to Chopper. Here we are live over Richland Center.
Yeah, here we are live over Richland Center over the pulling track, reporting live from the Beer Money Pulling Team Chopper, reporting to the tractor pull. Right? Does that sound cool?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, we gotta go back and forth, right?
Yeah,
That's
we
like
gotta go back.
Oh, because you can be like the expert and I can be the
Yes.
goofball. Cool. I like that. That's fine. We're done. We're done being screwballs. So
That was
echo.
Echo.
Anyway, Monday night here, October 24th, guys. We posted a question out there. How do we grow polling? And what's coming up? Anna Thomas is having us come down next weekend. Is it? Or we're going the 5th of November. Brandon and I are running down there. I think Don. I think Don Slama's running down there. Matt's going to be there from Wisconsin Polar Promoters. Got a bunch of different people going down there to the Midwest Polling Promoters, and basically, I'm getting a lot of calls from promoters and polling organizations. And how can we get more fans in the stands? Not necessarily, guys, from my Grand National and Champion Tour types of events, but more from. Is YouTube working? Okay.
Yep.
I just saw it flip over there. What's our YouTube channel look like?
We have 7
Oh yeah.
people.
Okay, cool. You have to.
I don't know. Hopefully
Yeah.
Chuck's alive.
Hopefully,
He's
yeah.
not the
Where
first,
is
you
Chuck
know,
at
he's gonna be
tonight?
the
Is he in the
first one.
field? Does he have his son's iPad tonight? What we have
ran
to
it
do.
over.
What we have to do is how do we get more fans in the stands? One of the things I put on there is we need how do we get new polling fans? How do we get the polling fans we currently have? How do we get them to come to more polls throughout the polling season? And then again, I believe in TV and internet broadcasting. And how do we get some of that? How do we charge for that? How do we get some of that money to go then to the? That's weird that's not showing our show on there.
Well, I haven't refreshed it.
Oh, okay. How do we share that money? Calm down. I know you're like the executive producer. I want to make sure.
It says on the intro.
Engineer. I want to make sure it's working right. So normally it's there live now. There
Yeah.
we go.
So it just hasn't.
How do we get them? How do we share some of that money with the promoter? You know what I mean? To put more fans in the stands. So, and I think that's what. And there's a ton of comments. We posted that on Beer Money Polling Team. Posted on our personal Facebook pages. We posted that on Let's Grow Polling, and I need to really catch up with all the comments and different things like that. So that's one of the things we're gonna do. So, yep, Matt's jumping under. Leo's in the house. Kyle Payne, he's a goofball.
Ryan Rusnick.
Bruce Sink's in the house. So, but that's what it's all about. We need to share more ideas. We're gonna. Gaffney's got me lined up with some winter rye. Gonna disc up the polling track tomorrow out at the Trinidad Nationals home. Gonna seed that polling track tomorrow with the winter rye. Get some more organic material in there. So we're getting excited about that. So let's try to get Phil Kelly on the phone if you want to talk a little bit. Brandon wants you to do a little bit of chatting with Ryan. Why don't you guys talk about some of the comments that you've read on some of the Facebook posts, and if you can just set the phone down there if you want. I want you to talk in the microphone so I
Sure.
don't pick on you. So I'm gonna try to get. Phil
Well,
on
I know a lot of people were talking about the different classes they liked. I was reading some of the comments they posted on your Facebook page earlier this afternoon, kind of when I had some downtime at work. And I know a lot of people, it was a battle of what classes they liked, if they liked the smoke classes or if they liked pushing the noise classes to
I
the
think
ends.
some people were.
some of that.
Yeah, I know.
I don't
it was
think
a
that's fair.
changer. No,
but
it's
yeah.
not.
Yeah, they were trolling. Some people were trolling for comments. I mean, and there's a lot of people say, "Why do you have the garden tractors? Why do you have the mini rods?" Well, those pullers are
I don't want to be just about Richland Center though.
Yeah.
I'm talking nationwide.
Yeah.
No, but I think they are talking nationwide.
Some of them are good.
Yeah, if you need to go to a garden tractor pull and see people that have $10,000 in a garden tractor engine, these people take this sport just as serious as Jason does with his 4-1 limited protractor. And I know guys that pull super modified 4-wheel drive trucks with sassy racing Hemis that started out pulling garden tractors. And I don't think it's fair for people to say that this one class is stupid or this class is stupid. To each their own. I've sat through 4 hours of farm stocks and had a good time, going 8 mile an hour all day.
Phil's not answering, so he wanted to get on the show tonight because
That's surprising that he's not answering.
yeah, he'll call
Yeah.
back. But so we're definitely going to call Matt around 7:30 or so. Jeremy Krieger around 7:45. So I definitely wanted to touch about that. But Brandon's got about 10-minute video, so I wanted to have some just frank discussion about that. You know, one of the things that I talked to Andrew Armstead from the Pulling Radio Network show, Sidetracked, and he announced for us at the Hybrid Redneck Rally, and I'm going to have him back at Motorsports Mayhem. Is one of the things he said is there's just a lot of truck and tractor pulls out there now, and not all of them. There's so many different levels of pulling. Let's say you're a brand new fan. Let's say you do go to a garden tractor pull that first time, and that's your first exposure to it. Let's say it's not that good, Brandon. Let's say that's not up your alley. I get it. There's just as much passion in it, but that's that they don't we don't do a good enough job of maybe training out there and stuff like that. So that's one of the things I want to do like next year for like Badger State pullers is I really want to get out there and go. I want to have like 5,000 little like pocketbook schedules, like business card schedules, and leave them everywhere I go.
That's what they do at the races
Yep.
yesterday. Circle Track Magazine put $5 discount things all over the racetrack.
Yep.
Things like that.
If you're watching Facebook, we're live at beermoneypulling.com and YouTube channel. We're just using Facebook to kind of do some cross promotion to get you over to the YouTube channel or the Beer Money Pulling Team Facebook page
Chris
as well.
Baker,
So
he pulls
the Fat Bottom Girl, Eric Pruitt's on there as well.
Chris Baker pulls a hot farm.
Nope,
down
he's got
here.
a super farm. The Fat
Different.
Bottom Girl.
Different Chris Baker.
It is? No, it's not.
Is that the Honey Hush Chris Baker?
Or is it the?
It might be.
We'll set to see. Pruitt's chiming in.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's just kind of what we got going on there. But if you want to, we do the interviews. Like I said, we're going to talk to Matt Ingham from Wisconsin Pulling Promoters. We're going to talk to Jeremy Krieger tonight. I got to call out to Phil Kelly. Hopefully he'll call back here in a little bit. But at the end of the day, everybody, how do we put more fans in the stands? Because ultimately that's what it's coming down to. Because all of us pullers, we're going to pull no matter what we do. Because we're dumb like that. we love pulling. We want to pull in front of big crowds.
Yeah.
That's ultimately what we want to do. And you can't have every class for everybody. No, there's no way.
There's
that's
not enough.
That's no way.
Especially
it's
if-
going to work.
There's always going to be a poll where you're going to have at least one or two classes where, it's probably not your favorite,
Right.
but you showed up, support, the poll.
And some people said, "Oh, the shows are getting too expensive." I don't know. I think they're cheap for what you get to see.
$15
But-
won't get you a movie.
I'm
and
scared.
a-
I'm
and a
scared to
food
charge
bill.
more than $10 at Richland Center.
Yeah, the problem is what people think of a tractor pull versus what we think of a tractor pull. I know a lot of friends, when they hear the word just tractor pull, they think of people driving it out of the field and not thinking of the remedy.
And that was one of the things that Drew and I actually talked about is truck and tractor pulling a good name for our sport? Or should it be called sled pulling? Like the diesel truck pullers use it. Because that's what it is. It's not it's not tractor pulling. You're not pulling a tractor. You're
Yeah,
actually
it's not.
pulling a sled.
Rick Fight does that. It's USAE sled pulling.
And that's kind of what it is. I mean, do we need to kind of rebrand it a little bit or talk about it a little bit for the new fans? Do you know what I mean? And you still have that age-old question of the pull-offs. You get back to the pull-offs. Are the pull-offs or what's, I don't know, will that bring more fans? Will you go to more pulls because there's a pull-off? It doesn't affect me personally. I don't want to put 60 hooks on my motor a year. I've talked to a lot of pullers this summer, and they will come back for a pull-off if you pay them. They don't want to come back and pull their pulling vehicle twice for the same amount of money. But, Andrew we had some good ideas. We talked a little bit on the way home on that. So I don't know.
You've got a change in classes, too,
Yeah.
and a lot more power. I mean, you have to factor that in, that the super stock diesel trucks don't hit maximum torque until 220, 240 feet.
Yeah, well, they weigh 8,000 pounds. They got a whole bunch of stuff there. So Brock's saying his pulls are between $8 and $12. Eric says you have to put in classes that will draw a crowd into venue for that area, and that's a good point. Know what your local's like.
Yeah.
Don't try to draw in people that you don't have. You know what I mean? If farm stock and antiques and 2-wheel drive trucks are big in an area, then bring them in, pack them in. And that's part of the deal in there. What, we got people chatting with us
Yeah,
on
so
the
we have
website a little bit.
Kevin Dick here. He said
Kevin
that he
Dick,
started
yeah.
out at age 12 pulling garden tractors, and he said the next thing that he knows, he's in Wisconsin with a Legends tractor 40 years later.
Yep,
So
and that's
there
how
you
it
go.
starts. And I think that's normal for people to kind of work their way up too.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
It's definitely
Do you want to aspire to the next step?
definitely normal.
Hey, you
started
actually have
out
someone
pulling
agreeing
at,
with
what,
you.
1066.
Yep.
The
I know. I
picture
856.
up
My
there
856. Yep.
856. Yeah.
So, but I tell people too, like, well, everybody's like, why do you pull Badger State? It's because where I live. So why'd you build a 4-1? That's the class in Badger State that I wanted to be part of. I don't want a pro stock. Well, I don't know how to work on a pull-in tractor, and I don't want to have that expense, and I don't want to. Brent doesn't have time to tear down a pull-in tractor every 5. Doesn't have time to tear down a pull-in tractor every 5 passes. You know what I mean? So, but that's ultimately what I want to do is I want to just share ideas. There's so many smart people out there, but at the end of the day, we have to entertain more. You know, and Andrew and I talked about that on the way home, back to the USHRA TNT days. You know, like when the Orange Blossom Special would come in, and they'd have all the pullers out there on the track, and they'd have some pyrotechnics, just little different things like that.
I went to one of those polls when I was
And they're
5
fun,
years old.
and that's the kind of stuff. That's the kind of stuff you remember.
They had the flame throwing robot that ate the cars.
Yep.
And everything as a halftime show and 2 monster trucks, and I mean it was for a 5-year-old boy that was the pinnacle.
Yep.
You know, to go see something like that.
If you're watching on Facebook, guys, we're just using the Facebook to promote we're doing our Let's Grow Pulling show live right now at beermoneypulling.com or our YouTube page where you can see all 3 of us sitting behind the camera. We're going to get ready to show our video here in a little bit, and we're going to get a couple. We got Matt Ingham we're going to call.
Chuck's in the quad
Chuck's
tracks.
in the house,
Wait.
checking in from the quad tracks. Not very good reception, so. But Jeremy, we're going to get a hold of Jeremy Krieger night. Of course, Butch Krieger's son does a lot of announcing for PPL and different things like that. So we're heading into the off season. Carl Downs, guys, is going to start doing a whole bunch of interviews for us with the ITPA and some of the Illinois guys to add some content to the show. So it's going to be a good thing. I'm excited. We just got a lot of stuff going on, but I really want to. We have so many good things. You know, Eric Pruitt's doing a really good job with the Pulling Radio Network. We have our Monday night shows. Looks like Matt We're going to talk to Matt a little bit. He's starting some Wisconsin. What Matt's done for Wisconsin polling promotion is it's off the chain. He's doing a really, really good job with that. I like to think what we do. I like that a lot of clubs. Kleppy started on an 8 horsepower Cub Cadet. Bet you didn't know that. Kleppy, you've never been able to fit.
I was
on an
gonna
8 horsepower
say, how
Cub
could he even
Cub
fit
Cadet.
on that?
That was when he was 4. So, but no, in all seriousness, that's how it gets started, and that's how you get hooked, and that's how you get going.
Well-
But at the end of the day, I want to put fans in the stand, butts in the seats.
Yeah.
Okay, so I still believe in the monster trucks and the things like that. I'm disappointed that we didn't have more fans in the stands, in the grandstands at Hybrid Redneck Rally. The pits were packed like they always are. We had over 2,000 people just on the pit side, but the grandstands didn't fill up as much. But I also had some people. I said I was going to have those monster trucks start at 2, but I didn't get them out there until about 2:30. But I was not going to stop in the middle of a pulling class either. And you take that risk when you have pulling classes started. You know, and when you mix things together like that, but the pullers themselves, they don't like the monster trucks, okay? But the monster trucks are a gimmick, or they are a sideshow. But guys, that's how monster trucks got started, was at tractor pulls. When
Yeah.
I was a little kid, I
were
saw
the
Bigfoot.
sideshow.
They were
They
the
were the
sideshow, and look at them today. You know what I mean? And I also believe too, because farming not being as mainstream, not the family farm anymore. I think that's where pulling has gone away. And now every weekend you can go to Wisconsin Dells to a racetrack, or you can go to a NASCAR race where you can watch all this stuff on TV. It isn't as mainstream as it used to be. You know what I mean? So, and pulling, yeah, it is on TV, but like MAV TV, you know, I'll post on Facebook, hey, you know, go watch The Remedy or go watch pulling on MAV TV right now. What channel is it? What channel is it? It's not like it's on CBS or something like that. And trust me, it's cost big bucks to do this stuff.
Yeah, I mean,
And RFD TV, I try to always post that, or the Outlaws are on Velocity channel on Saturday, and it's all very, very good stuff. You know what I mean? But that's just kind of how it goes. So, but
There's
Austin, he loves your shirt. Casual
Yeah.
Counter. I figured he would. Wyland would.
He painted the tractor. So.
Yeah. But anyway, guys, we're gonna show Brandon's video of the week. So if you're watching on Facebook, you need to go over to our website, beermoneypulling.com, or
This is
the
just
YouTube
a
channel.
Random hodgepodge of stuff that
Hey,
people sent us.
That's what our
There's
Facebook page is. It's a
every-
random hodgepodge stuff of
Everything
pulling.
you could hook to a sled is probably in this video.
Vanguard, power trip.
I'll funk swap beat him.
off-air time.
Yeah.
That was
Might
the
help
best
if we actually
stuff
hit the
I had
on-air button.
all year. Yeah, absolutely. The stuff that didn't make air.
So if you're just joining
Absolutely.
us, Phil Kelly, the red-blooded binder, Region 5 champion, the first ever Super Sunday winner at Bowling Green, but unfortunately the session started Saturday night and it just went into Sunday morning.
That win gets an asterisk beside
Hey,
it.
you can still say you're the first Super Sunday winner ever at Bowling Green. That's what I like.
Yeah. And then the guys down in the North Carolina State Fair started teasing me that I do my best work in front of nobody.
In front of nobody. Hey, I was there. I actually went over to the Southside grandstands.
While we were sitting around out there, there might have been maybe 100 people around. But there was an awesome group of people down at the very far end of the track that, just based on my limited vision, I thought I knew because they were waving and cheering, and I was just sort of waving back. And I thought it was you guys sitting down there.
It was.
But as I rolled up and they towed me off the track, I was like, hey, I don't think I actually know those people.
No, I sat up underneath the grandstands until the very end of the Super Farm class. That was my first time on the south side. Otherwise, I was a naughty north sider the whole time with beads and having a good time. So
I look at Bowling Green and just flashing back into how they get a crowd.
The
and
people.
One of the things that they did years ago was they bought the name National Tractor Pulling Championship, and they bought it, if I'm not mistaken, from a group out west, and didn't pay a lot for it. But that moniker gave them the notoriety to help them sell tickets. And what I mean by that is I get to Talladega this weekend, and we're doing NASCAR racing, and it's a cutoff race to a chase race, which to anybody else is really just a playoff run, just like it would be for baseball or football. But we look at the Bowling Green as a National Tractor Pulling Championship, and they've made it a championship weekend, meaning cumulative points, best average finish. So it is a championship for the weekend. But just the name overall, and I hate to be down on it, it's a bit of misgiving, but it's still the name that sells tickets. And let alone, it's a great venue, a lot of high horsepower. They have the space for it. They draw the tractors, and then in turn draw the people. The tractor numbers being so high, people can come see a class of iron that they wouldn't see anywhere else in the country. I think that's how they keep selling tickets so well.
Well, that's one thing too. We talked about. Brandon went to it was an ARCA race. What was it yesterday in the Dells?
Yeah, it was like a Midwest ARCA.
A Midwest ARCA race, and he talked about the entertaining factor of a race compared to a poll. He said, the drivers are walking around the stands with their fire suits on, talking to the race fans more. The fans in the stands had like radios. What'd you say? They had radios listening to the.
They had scanners.
Listening to the radios, stuff like that. What can we do as pullers more to be more entertaining, Phil? You're a puller. You're a NASCAR.
So you and I have we've had good ideas. We've had bad ideas. We've had ideas enhanced by liquid beverages.
Yep.
So, and your Bud Light. But I think there's a gambit of things. But what I see now, and as I get more involved and try to be more involved to grow pulling, and with you and talking to other guys, is I do see there's a bit of a power struggle. There are some guys that get jealous of what Beer Money Pulling's been able to achieve, and I didn't really see that because I thought, oh, we're all in this together. But I see that now, that there is some other segregations of groups that don't want to have everybody's arms wrapped around each other to grow the sport overall. They want to grow their niche. And
I know. And there are people that
think
they think we're making so much money with this Facebook thing.
Yeah.
No, we've never made a dime. The only time I have ever we sell T-shirts at Gordyville. That's the only time we've ever sold a legitimate enough. I think we made enough money at Gordyville to pay for our hotels.
You might have paid that dinner.
Yeah.
The pictures from the Beer Money Pulling team and the dinner you had at Chick-fil-A or whatever it was. At 2 or 3
Steak and Shake.
You probably just covered that cost.
Yeah. And the bar bill after we won Saturday night.
I think we need to unify more.
Yeah.
And you use the other pages as well. We the Morgans and Jake and his father and their pull-off page and some of the other pages as well that I'm a part of in that Facebook groups. But to unify a little bit more so we can promote and extend the invitation to other people. Jeff Ball had a pull in Wisconsin. We pull against him all year. He's a very competitive tractor, and they did very well. It's a brand new venue that's supposed to grow, and I apologize, I don't know the name of it.
It's called the Rock Cut Blowout.
Is that what it was?
So the one was October 1st. Yep.
Yeah, it had great iron there across the board. the venue is going to be enhanced over the next few years.
He's already working on. He's trying to get a region and a Grand National there next July.
Yeah, so I looked at what Hillsboro was and what it is now, and I look at what Jeff Ball's got going on up there, and I think, oh, that's easily one that could grow into something.
Yeah.
And then to grow tickets, you to sell those tickets, you got to get that notoriety out there. We're using social media as a free medium. If you look at what NTPA does, they don't advertise very far outside of their own circle, their own realm. The magazine and on their own station, you don't find too many of their advertisements in outside publications or outside television. So NBC that I worked for this weekend, we bought advertisement time on Fox Network.
Yep.
Yeah, there's a little collusion there because it's all both good for both parties that the ratings go up, but they had to approve the sale of that advertisement. Now, I don't see like Outlaws reaching out beyond their group to sell that advertisement.
Right.
They're happy and sort of maybe content that they have their thumb or they're in control of what
Yeah,
what
to
they're
me,
dealing with.
to me, there's too
They
many.
need to reach across to each
There's
other.
too many paychecks, guys and gals involved at the top of the polling associations. And I don't mean that in a bad way, and I'd say that if any of those people are sitting here, but there's too many jobs at stake, if you will. Does that make sense to you, Phil?
Absolutely.
And
I
whereas
think that,
we're the pollers, I mean, we need these people. We need these people to run these big associations, but all your state-level associations, they're run by pollers. I don't care what anybody says. The Badger State Tractor Pullers are run by pollers. The East Central, all the polling associations I'm familiar with are run by pollers. Without the pullers putting it on, and I would say 98% of the sponsors of the Badger State Tractor Pullers, 100% of the sponsors either are own a Badger State Tractor Puller, own a tractor or a truck in the Badger State Tractor Pullers, or work for a company that is that sponsors that. Like Smithfield Foods was a big sponsor that came on this year. Saunders Oil, they run around with the Gerlachs. Smithfield Foods, they came on because of the Meyer family. That's the stuff that I know. But I agree with you. That's how they hang out.
Made a huge marketing push in NASCAR as well. So this was their season. Their next few years is a marketing push of, purchasing preferred products, and that's what Male is doing with me as well. Is they want you to understand that their product is in a store, in a vendor, at a retailer, and if you don't see it, you can ask for it. And that's
right.
what Smithfield was shooting for as well. And that was their message. They tell us in the marketing plans and some of the meetings we go on with them, as well as when we do their, we like to call it organic placement of, there's a guy grilling outside of the speedway or on the backstretch or even along pit road. Oh, well, he's got Smithfield food products. The pork chops that coming out of Iowa, the hot dogs coming out of who knows where, that it's a Smithfield Foods product. And that's what Male was trying to do as well, is show you that a lot of these vehicles internally have Male products, whether you know it or not, or you could and just ask for them.
Yep.
It's your Napa, your AutoZone, your O'Reilly's. So I look at that as we can grow from using that sponsorship and using those marketing terms, but it also has to take an investment. But also, I look at what the points fund was years ago when my uncles and family pulled, and I understand there's more overhead and more insurance nowadays. And I bid those out as well for our local fair, Lawrence County Fair and Butler Farm Shows, things like that here in western Pennsylvania. And I must say the insurance isn't insurmountable. It is a cost, but I assume it must have gone up. But I still don't see why a points fund, end-of-year points fund, is less than it used to be. That doesn't make sense to me. As well as the vehicles have quadrupled in cost to be a highly competitive vehicle. I invest a lot of time and money and research into trying to make my tractor, the Red-Blooded Binder, the best vehicle it can be in its class and in its division. And I'm sure a lot of other guys do the same thing. I'm a competitive person by nature, and we're all in this competitively. I enjoy the camaraderie as well, but my goal is always to be in the top 25%, top half of the class when I'm in the Grand National field, top 25% when I'm in a state or regional. That's a personal goal of mine, and I get frustrated when I'm not. And a lot of it is my rookie mistakes. The vehicle gets me down the track. But when we go back to growing polling, like Brandon is reaching out, and he went over and we were talking about they had scanner sound. So I noticed, I do have a full complement of in-helmet receiver, scanner, and I can communicate to pit guys if I had that kind of complement of people. That was a sponsorship deal through Racing Electronics, who anybody can buy online, and there's a vendor happens to be at a NASCAR track that treat me very well. but I don't utilize them only because I feel like that input. One, I feel a little bit yuppie, like if I got a radio and a receiver and my guys at the other end of the track and they're talking to me on things what I can and can't do, because I think I could figure out some stuff from the seat. Number two is I don't have a crew that is with me regularly enough that they can diagnose where they think that the vehicle or I should do and make adjustments on the fly as we pull up to the line that would enhance its performance. I do see the modified guys do it. The Snow Farmer, the Feist, Terry and Todd. I can't pronounce the last name. Help me out. Feist.
Yep, Feist.
I see that they're using it. And I see a lot more vehicles using it. Jeff in the fully loaded tractor, Carlisle Tools and Molly sponsored tractor, he uses in helmet communication, and maybe it's so he can make slight adjustments as he's sitting there, or he's strapped in early enough so if he thinks he needs to drop a little bit of air pressure, he can drop a little air pressure to the line and move a weight front to back. As where I'm waving or other guys are waving a guy over to it, you yell through your helmet what you're looking at or where you want the cone to move for your track placement. But maybe the scanners are a way to go, but it also is a cost investment for the poolers again, not the associations or the sanctioning bodies, to try to enhance fan experience. I think the sanctioning bodies need to start investing in fan experience.
Yep.
Sanctioning bodies and pooling groups and promoters need to start, autograph signings. We show up in a fire suit. Not all of us are known. A little name card on a table with your index cards, your hero cards, as we call them, sitting in front of you. You sign them, pass them down. Sign it, pass it down. Or maybe they are NTPA provided or Lucas Oil provided. It has a picture of a miscellaneous tractors on the front of it. They're generic by nature, but the drivers are all sitting there. And maybe it's your classification, a Super Farm driver, your Limited Pro driver, your name, Limited Pro, a little picture of your tractor in front of you, so the people understand who they're talking to. That way when they see it go down the track, there's a little bit of connectivity there where they resounds with them into the future.
Yep. So, hey, Phil, we're going to
maybe they could make that investment. So
keep thinking of
there's a lot of things we could do, but we need to group up, wrap our arms around each other.
Yeah. Keep thinking of entertainment ideas. We're going to let you go. We got 2 more guests we're going to get to tonight, but I wanted to bring you back on.
Terrific.
Apologize for last week. We're still figuring out all of our stuff, but we want to show you one of our cool effects. Check this out. Tell me what
you think of my voice now.
What'd you think of that?
You guys are always playing games.
What now do you think of me, Phil
Kelly?
And you're moving forward.
Now what do you think of me, Phil Kelly? Do I sound sexy?
I don't know. You're dead sexy.
Huh?
Sexy. Dead sexy, Phil Kelly. I sound like I'm on Lobster Game. So.
No, seriously, we bought a little mixer board. We're going to start having some fun and do some sound effects. But, again, we want to be entertainers, too, with the show.
I'm excited you have a splitter this week, so you have dual headset.
It's the actual board. It's one little console. It's one little. It's not a splitter. No splitter.
So.
Oh.
Phil, thanks for all that you do. We'll keep bugging you, but just keep sharing your entertainment ideas, because that's what we got to do. We got to entertain. We got the pulling thing down. We really are. We're good at pulling.
Yep.
We got to entertain the fans, and we're gonna interview our next 2 guests. And you have a good night, buddy. Okay.
All right. Talk to you later, guys.
Thanks, boss. Yeah. Bye. That was Phil Kelly with us, guys. I got to head to my son's choir concert to be a good husband and a good son. I'm going to get my microphone, and Brandon's going to call Matt Ingham with Wisconsin Pulling Promoters. Okay. He's got a new thing going on. He does way more for Wisconsin pulling than about anybody. Ryan, thanks for everything. So I think our cool man voice is pretty sweet.
Yeah, I think that really caught Phil way off guard.
You want your phone with you?
Yeah. No, make sure it's on vibrate or turn it off.
Yep.
So.
And I'll let everybody know. I'll post a link up, and I'll start sharing that. And we're gonna. I know how to do the iTunes now.
If you want to get Matt on the phone.
There's Matt's number, and you guys do your thing. Thanks a lot, guys.
So if you haven't, if you want to check out Matt's page, it's Wisconsin Pulling Promoters on Facebook. He's constantly promoting any type of pull in Wisconsin, if it's from garden tractors up to Hillsboro. He does a great job. He was helping out at Motorsports Mayhem. He helped us get the gas trucks in line, and as Brandon gets them on the phone here.
I was making sure I had the right number.
Oh, yeah, we want to call the right Matt. That would be a little awkward.
All right. Let's call Matt.
So if anyone has any questions, you can chat with us on beermoneypulling.com or our YouTube page as well. As we get Matt on the phone here and ringing now. Hopefully he's available here. We are a little bit late, but
It's not delivering a baby on the side of the highway.
This is
He's a EMT.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Hey.
Hey, Matt Ingham. Welcome to Let's Grow Pulling Live.
You're live on the air across the
Good to
interweb.
be with you. Thanks for just springing that on me, Brandon. That's typical of you. I figured something Jason would do.
Jason said that you were prepared for our call. I wouldn't have called you.
Jason told me 7:30, and I was prepared. Believe it or
Yeah,
not.
well,
Now I'm
you really
trying to
can't go off the
do my
schedule of
stuff.
Jason Schultz, okay?
He's already going to be late for
His
for
daughter's
the-
choir concert.
yeah, for the choir
A little
concert.
better.
So,
He was talking with Phil Kelly, so I don't know if that gives away anything.
tell us a little bit about yourself, real quick, Matt. What do you do? Where are you from?
Well, guys, as you guys may know, Brandon, I know you obviously pretty well from the summer, getting a chance to meet you and talk to you. I'm originally from Turtle Lake, Wisconsin, a town of about 1,000 people in the northwest corner, a little north of Eau Claire.
Ranked what, number 6 in football right now?
What's that?
They're ranked number 6 in football right now.
They were ranked, and they got beat in the first round of the playoffs.
Oh,
so
jeez.
that kind of
Oh
year.
man.
Yeah, you just some years you just can't win.
Yeah.
I currently live in New Glarus, so I've kind of seen a little bit of everything. as
You
far
really
as
ventured to
Wisconsin
the
goes,
different
so-
part of the state.
Of course, everybody knows New Glarus for the brewing company, and right in the heart of Badger State territory. So
Yeah, that'll give you a great location. A lot of polls in that part of the state as well.
yes, I've actually tried hard and talked to a lot of people about trying to get a poll in New Glarus, because having that marketing tool of the brewery would be huge, but there's just not a single spot to do it.
Yeah, the landscape of New Glarus doesn't really benefit for a polling track at all.
It does not bode well. I figured, yeah, if there's just some piece of flat land
Either-
somewhere, I'd get a track down and we'd make it happen. But
Yeah,
no
they
luck
got
yet.
hills on one side and kind of a swampy area on the other side.
Something I might have to bring up to the brewery someday.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure that, they got 3 or 4 big polls now in Monroe right down the road that would also be an option for a
Yes,
A sponsorship,
absolutely.
so-
I've considered that too. But yeah, it's just food for thought for future endeavors.
What? Tell us about why and when you started the Wisconsin Pulling Promoters page.
Well, believe it or not, Wisconsin Pulling Promoters is an idea I've had for quite a long time. I got it started roughly a little over a year ago. Kind of started at the end of last season just to kind of get my feet wet. Got it off the ground. Just started with a Facebook page, which is grown into the website, which is under construction right now as I redo it. But kind of took off this spring. I had some help with some other people get involved, and some people have come and gone, and some people are coming on board, and it's really took its flight this summer. And once I got my name out there a little bit, talked to some people, and got a few followers on the website and the Facebook page, it really turned into something. So
It's a great thing. That's where I went to 49 polls this summer, and I think I got the information from every single one off of the Wisconsin Pulling Promoters page. It's a one-stop shop. If you want to go to a tractor pull in Wisconsin, you can go to the page and the website. It'll tell you where it's at, a physical address. That's one of my pet peeves is when promoters don't put a physical address on their flyer.
Yeah, and if you're a promoter, what better way to promote your poll than putting it on a Facebook page that's dedicated
Yeah.
to promoting the sport?
Yeah, I went to a poll in Iowa that didn't have a physical address, and
You
looked
don't want to
like-
get lost in
Yeah,
Iowa.
I look like an idiot stopping at all these gas stations
Well,
saying, "Where the hell is
somebody
this
from
place?"
Pennsylvania.
Yeah, Pennsylvania's.
That's one thing I've looked at, and there's a lot of little things I'm still trying to touch on, but I kind of look at Wisconsin Pulling Promoters just like anything else in this world. There's a need for it. There's a market for it. You get all these little things on there just to improve each poll a little bit more. It benefits, even if the address here benefits 10 people, and over here the classes benefit 10 people, and it enhances each poll just a little bit, and I feel like the job's getting done. So.
Social media is the way people are getting their information.
Ryan Roos. Oh, we got to pick on the Iowa, especially
Yeah.
those Hawkeyes. I mean, geez, the way they play these days.
Yeah. Now I lost my train of thought. We're picking on people from Iowa. Matt, you got anything to say?
Of course, the Buckeyes didn't look too well either.
Well, naturally, they got to bring up the college football team that's been up and down lately
Yeah.
for the Badgers. But we can still pick on Jason for those Hawkeyes.
Yeah, and he's not here, so we can
Oh,
really pick
yeah.
on him now. So
I'm sure he really, with Doc and them, and their little, because they were at the game on Saturday, so I'm sure he heard all of it.
Oh, it makes a person feel a whole lot better knowing that he's in the crowd. He's the only one cheering for the losing team.
So, what do you got in store for next year? Anything big,
well, as
exciting?
Jason kind of alluded to tonight. I'm kind of rolling it out right after the show here tonight. Is my first in-depth kind of exclusive video I shot. Must have been a week ago, last weekend now. With Brandon got a chance to see him. It's something. I kind of feel like this would be the end of the season type of show because of the caliber of truck. But anyways, the video is just about interviewing a puller, getting to see their hauler, the truck, ask them what they do when they're not pulling, have some fun, some laughs. And anyways, my first episode tonight is with Dan Brzezowski, who pulls the 1936 International Cab over. So it's definitely something you want to check out just for the love of pulling, but also if you haven't seen this truck yet, you will be amazed because it's truly one of a kind.
It's an unusual truck. I don't think I've ever seen. I think the only one I've ever seen was a guy sent us videos. There's one that pulls down in Australia.
Yeah, and the interesting thing enough about the truck is that the puller is just as unique and interesting. He's a very goofy guy, but no doubt one of the smartest guys I know when it comes to building and pulling a truck. He does it all, and you'll see that in the video tonight. He was gracious enough to invite me into his home and to see all his stuff. And as we know, pullers, they still like to be a little secretive about this and that, and they don't like to give away too many secrets, but he pretty much walked the line and was able to show me a lot of stuff and tell me a lot. And so I think the fan, the puller, and everybody in between will definitely get something from the video. So
Is that going to be up on the Wisconsin Pulling Promoters Facebook page?
Yeah, I'll get it up on the page here shortly. I'm just putting on the finishing touches here, and then hopefully it'll be a regular thing. So for everybody out there that's listening, especially the Wisconsin crowd, if you're see what you like, you want to have some laughs and some good times, get a hold of me, and we'll make you our next episode. So.
All right, Gaffney would love to have you in the shop over there. He's not a man of
yeah.
many words, but
Well,
but
that could almost be like a two-part series because you got Brett and you got the tractor, then you got Jason, and you got the hauler, you got the shuttle. I mean, like the team is like 20 pieces wide.
Yeah, the Geo Tracker.
To be continued episode.
Yeah.
That might have to be the end of the season and then start the next season.
You should do a show about how the Badger State stripper poles came about for the leader cones. How we got brass stripper
Brandon,
poles and.
We're always looking for ideas to branch out there, so that's definitely something to keep in mind.
Because I've heard the story behind them and Cruising Chubbies is pretty interesting. So.
Well, I tell you, if you dive into the social lives of pullers, you'll definitely have enough to keep you busy for a long time.
Yeah, definitely, especially with Badger State. So we have a unique, eclectic group of pullers that pulls with Badger State. So
that is for sure. I'm sure you've. I don't know how many Badger State pulls you got to hit this year. Did you just move to New Glarus this summer, or how long have you been living?
No, I've been here. I moved down here for college, and I've been here ever since. So about a little over 10 years now, and I've lived in New Glarus for a couple of years. And I've been to most of their polls this year. I didn't really I just went to a few because I got more involved with Western Wisconsin back home. They actually came to my hometown. They come there every year for the fair, and then this year we started up our own standalone poll in the fall, and they were there for that. So I kind of followed their circuit around this year and tried to get more involved as a promoter. So
That's my goal next year is to hit. That's the only organization in Wisconsin I didn't hit this year. So I'm hoping to make it up to Thorpe, and I heard Stanley's a good pull up there. Make it up that way a few more times next summer.
yeah, and I mean, the big push behind my wanting to do Wisconsin Pulling Promoters was really more for the little guy. I mean, you see Lucas Oil, you see NTPA, Badger State. I mean, they're standalone entities. I mean, they market well. They've been around a long time. Some of
People
other
know the
smaller
name.
Circuits, yes, absolutely. You think Wisconsin, you think Badger State. So I really want to. I mean, I want to help them out too, certainly. But I mean, this is more. I'm the little guy from the little town, and I want to help out the little guys. Maybe they wouldn't say they're little guys, but the smaller clubs like Western Wisconsin, Mid-State Pullers. Those are the two clubs up north. I mean, you got Northeastern Pullers over by Green Bay, and Midwest down in Milwaukee. I mean, there's so many other groups out there that I want.
And then you got South Central and Southwest. So pretty
PI,
much every
Tri-State,
pretty much every geographical corner of
This is the
Wisconsin has a
polling
polling
mecca
organization.
in southern Wisconsin.
And sometimes you get to a poll, you got 4 or 5 clubs. Like your churning dirt and your other events that just
Cheese City
you wouldn't
Challenge.
realize
I think
it's what they're-
Utica had seven different organizations down there. If you count,
Probably
yeah.
something like that.
Yeah. I mean,
that's something right there too. That a spectacle to see, to go to a town of 50 people and you see multiple days of awesome pulling free. I mean, you can't put
50 might be
can't say enough
overdoing
about
it
what
for
they-
Utica.
Yeah.
But
It
it's
depends on how many people are at the bar.
between that and Thorpe were probably my top 2 pulls of the year. I mean, Thorpe drew 135 hooks, all ordered farm or above. No speed limits on anything. I mean, when you can go to a pull and see 7 hours of that caliber of pulling for what, $7 or $8, that's something that's unique to Wisconsin.
Yeah.
And I mean, yeah, Thorpe is an anomaly in itself because of the fact that it takes place over the 4th of July weekend. So when you talk about pulling people away from family events to go truck and tractor pulling, that's that speaks for itself as well.
That's a tough weekend to have a poll, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's one of the things I noticed when I moved here to Wisconsin is that polls are a social event. And everybody wants to drink beer and eat brats and have a good time. That's completely 180 degrees from what it is in Pennsylvania. There would be 50 rent-a-cops every standing all over the place telling you where you can stand and you can't drink, and we're lucky to live in this
you have
state.
those county fairs though they have their little niches, so
Yeah,
that's
where
it's hit and miss, but you have your places where
that was Washington County was one where the fair board was absolutely just anti-tractor pulling. They were not nice to any of us. That's a big thing with promoters. Do you ever find a pull, Matt, that you don't want to promote because it has such a bad rep?
I've come across some. I mean, there are definitely some that it's not even necessarily their fault. It might just be, a small track or not enough grandstands, or they just don't pay enough. Things like that. It makes it tough from my angle, but at the same time, I still want to help because I feel like that town, that might be all that they have. They have one pull a year, and they do everything they can to make it big. And if they don't, then
and maybe they'll learn a thing or two from you. That's and I hear it from Anna too, because she deals with all these small polls and these fair boards, and it's funny that they try and negotiate with someone who writes insurance contracts for a living, but
yeah.
So
that's probably one of the biggest factors is probably the insurance side of things. So
yeah, it's
when it comes to a poll, so
I know
probably
some
good to have a little bit of
insurances
hand into
require a certain amount of runoff and safety gear and whatnot. So,
but anything else you'll be doing in the off season as before we get set for another winter and indoor polling season, and then lead right into the spring and summer? Anything during the off season that you'll be doing?
Did we lose him? Yeah, we lost Matt.
Okay, well, that was Matt Ingram with Wisconsin Polling Promoters. Check out his Facebook page, Wisconsin Polling Promoters, again, on Facebook. Pretty much any type of poll in Wisconsin. We're going to try getting Jeremy Krieger on the line. He's a announcer, and you know his family with Butch Krieger, the legendary Butch Krieger, who did announcing both on TV, the National Farm Machinery Show, the Pro Polling League, the NTPA, pretty much any type of polling circuit. He also did some racing as well. We'll see if he answers. It is getting late over on the East Coast, so we'll try getting him on the phone here and round out the show. Again, thanks guys for tuning in for another session of Let's Grow Polling. If you're just tuning in, Jason was here earlier. He had some family commitments tonight. His daughter's choir concert that he had to run off to early. So we'll try getting Jeremy Krieger on the phone here. So, again, if you guys have any questions or type of what you want to have us talk about on the show, feel free to get a hold of Jason during the week. Hello, Jeremy. This is Ryan Zolik with Let's Grow Polling. How you doing tonight?
Hi, Ryan. How are you? Good evening.
Good. We're live on Let's Grow Polling. Glad to have you along. Sorry we're a little bit late. Jason kind of went long with Phil Kelly this evening, and so we're kind of pushed back a little bit. So sorry about that.
That's not an unusual thing
No,
to get along
probably
with Phil
not.
Kelly. He likes to talk.
No, that's quite all right. Jason Schultz is an announcer and a promoter, and he's got a lot to say, and I have no problem taking my turn at the last. No worries.
So he had to actually run off. So I'm here with Brandon. He had his daughter's choir concert, so he had to leave a little bit early. I don't know if he mentioned that to you, but so we're gonna finish off the show together. So again, if you just want to introduce yourself to the audience here and let them know who you are and what you do for the sport of truck and tractor pulling.
Oh, absolutely. My name is Jeremy Krieger, and I've been around the sport my entire life. My father is Butch Krieger, who is a famed announcer all across the United States with various sanctioning bodies. He's also the voice of the National Farm Machinery Show in Louisville, Kentucky, and was an announcer at the National Tractor Pulling Championships in Bowling Green, Ohio, of course, for many, many years. I'm also the brother of Miles Krieger, who is the proprietor of MilesBeyond300.com. He and I grew up in sport together. We're both announcers in the summer. I spend most of my time on the circuit with the Lucas Oil Pro Pulling League, as well as just various county fairs around here close to home in Louisville, Kentucky, where I live. And I also have a podcast called Pulled In with Jeremy Krieger, which I try to do every once or twice a month. I don't get them every week like you guys do, but I try to get one out at least a couple times a month. So got one coming up this week. But yeah, I've grown up in the sport, been around it my entire life, so that's my claim to fame in pulling.
Yeah, I mean, one of my first, my first time down at the National Farm Machinery Show, I was 7 years old, and so my first really memory was hearing your dad, and that's I've grown up pretty much with your dad in the sport truck and tractor pulling, and he's definitely going to be one of those people that you're just going to remember for the rest of your life. For those that have been around the sport for their whole life, and seeing, I'm sure he's got to be proud of both his sons now, what they're doing with the sport, and seeing where they're taking it as well. With your brother Miles and what he does with his with the road show and his blog, and you guys both do a great job announcing as well.
Well, thank you. And I think that is, I think Dad's proud of us. We enjoy working with him when we can, but I talk a lot about a lot of dads teach their kids to hunt or to fish or to be athletic, and they play games together. Our dad's life revolved around motorsports. Point before Dad was very heavy into pulling, he was the staff announcer at 3 drag strips at the same time. And on Friday nights, we would be at Durban City Dragway in Elizabeth, Indiana. Then on Saturday nights, we'd be at Ohio Valley Raceway in Louisville, Kentucky. And then on Sundays, we'd be at US 60 in Hardinsburg, Kentucky. So we just grew up at a drag strip or a tractor pull. And so motorsports was kind of, while everyone else was in a tree stand or on a boat fishing or at the lake over the weekend, we were on the road with Dad. And when he was doing his TNT stuff, we traveled to places like Charleston, West Virginia with him, and several other, indoor events in the wintertime. Huntsville, Alabama was a big one for him. And so that was just kind of what we did, and it was just logical, I guess, progression, more so for Miles than for me. I always wanted to drive. I wanted to be a competitor and try my best to be, have something to pull. But this announcing bug, it always just kind of kept coming back. And, finally I just
a little bit cheaper,
gave into it. but yeah, I think Dad, I think Dad's very proud of us, and I think he's laid quite a foundation and paved a really good way for not just myself and not just Miles, but many announcers out there today look to him, in a mentor capacity. And I'm biased, I know, but I think he's one of the best.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at any type of motorsports, everyone has that, like with we're seeing with baseball and football and all those legendary announcers, now retiring. Truck and tractor pulling has that announcer too, and that's your dad. And whenever he decides to hang it up, it's going to be just like with these famed other ball and stick announcers, or even with the racing announcers that we hear on a weekly basis as well, that have come to everyone's television set. Your dad is definitely that benchmark of where they're at, and I think people where they'd want to strive to be if they're going to go into that announcing realm of the sport. And so again, just kudos to your dad, and of course to you and your brother for what you do. Now that with the different aspect of pulling now with the social media, trying to get out front of how can we grow the sport, both with your brother's blog. I think he does a great job, with his Women on Wednesdays that he gets out. Is that a monthly that he does with that? Trying to expand the viewership with either if they're a supporting role or our women drivers in truck and tractor pulling. I think it's just a great different aspect that you don't really see. And then who do you have coming up on your episode? For pulling?
We have not cut it yet, but it's scheduled, and this coming episode is going to be the reigning champion on Lucas Oil Pro Pulling League on the super modified two-wheel drive division, Jared Nelson, the driver of the Midnight Revenger, Boyd & Sons Midnight Revenger out of Altamont, Illinois. He's got a great story. He's been chasing these points for many, many, many years. His brothers won several times. His wife won. Several of his other teammates have won the championship, but he had always kind of been in the bridesmaid's role. And this year, he finally laid down some of the most consistent runs that anybody's ever seen. He was just in the hunt the entire summer and just ran away with the championship. So we're going to sit down and chat with him. And also working on Ryan Reitzel, who was a former two-wheel drive puller that went into the light unlimited modified division this year. I want to kind of talk to him a little bit about the transition from the two-wheeler to the tractor and learn a little bit from him off of his rookie season there. So that's what's lined up. We haven't cut it yet. I'm hoping to get to it middle part of this week and have it by Friday. That's my plan.
Yeah, it's always that two-wheel drive class is so tough because there's so many competitors. Whether it's just a state level or a regional level, or all the way up to the Grand National level, it's probably one of the biggest classes out there in terms of the whole spectrum of the sport. And to be a champion in that class is definitely an accomplishment. And either it's Lucas Oil or NTPA, or even the Outlaws.
And I think Jared is just absolutely delighted to finally have that monkey off his back, because in previous years he was close, he was right there in the hunt. And then it always just seemed like something happened late in the season. We'd have catastrophic engine failure or read the track wrong or something would happen with the truck that would just, he would lose the championship, as they always come, as you're aware, they always come down to the wire. But this time, this season was his. And I'm delighted that he's there. And so we're going to talk a little bit about that with him. But
I
tune in
mean-
if you'd like. We'll, hopefully have it up there on Friday this week.
Yeah, especially coming down to the wire. I mean, probably one of the goofiest finishes in the points series for any type of polling had it been the super modified tractors for a PPL at the down in Wheatland with the Boyds going out of bounds, and then with the Mav TV as well, and then was it Joe Eder that came through and took the points by 1 point?
Absolutely, yeah. That's another perfect example of just consistency. He was there, right in the hunt of things, and it came down to the wire. And the other two leaders experienced some attrition there, and Eder capitalized on it and took the trophy back to North Collins, New York. But I think you got to be happy with the boys. Just in their second or third season on the circuit with this modified tractor, they have really, really figured a lot of stuff out with the machines, and I look for them to be back in the hunt, no question.
Yeah, and I mean, I think for me, I think if we can try and get the points, like the point system down to where the fans can follow it better, that is going to make it a lot easier, I think, for people to stay involved or stay interested throughout the whole season. Because for me, as someone that grew up my whole life around polling, the points series, the points like championship and the race just never really was something that was talked about that much at polls. And I think that's something that polling could definitely try and do a little bit better in terms of keeping fans interested throughout the whole season.
No, I agree with that. I think there's room for improvement there. And as an announcer, I always try to, it's very hard when you have 5 classes a night to remember who's where at the points. But, it's always, if you have time in the middle of the show to pull up the iPad or, that's another thing. The dawn of devices now and having instant information has allowed me as an announcer, to have that page up. And to look at, okay, well, coming into tonight, fans, there's 10 points between first and third in this class, and here are your heavy hitters, and look for them here tonight as we go through. And but yes, I think from a beginning to end perspective, it could it would behoove all of us to make sure that fans knew exactly what was going on, and maybe highlight some of those races that were mid-season points races that were coming down to the wire, so that people could, people who maybe weren't involved with, like say you're a pro stock fan and the mini rod class has a really tight points race. So if you highlight that, maybe some of those pro stock fans, would kind of come over and sort of migrate to that for a while and get interested in it. So yeah, to your point, I think it's definitely something we could do.
Yeah, I mean, I know it takes a lot of bodies, especially if even. It's not just the announcing side; it's I think the organizations. They're doing better. Now with social media, you're seeing them posting the points a lot faster than they've ever been posted for people to keep track of. But something I thought of is if people could keep track of, like we're seeing now. So someone goes down the track that's in the points hunt, and then the way that they finish, it's an instantaneously thing where they can keep track of on their phone. Okay, this even as that puller has completed and the next one pulls, and if they pull ahead them, then they can see where their points would fall unofficially, and then they can even just keep track on their phone that way. That's something that I've thought of, that they can kind of during the poll actually keep track of those points instantaneously.
Well, yeah, that's I think that leaves the question, and what could sanctioning bodies do with applications on smart devices, but then you have to look at bandwidth at the events, and you have to look at Wi-Fi comparisons and all of those things. But
and this would definitely stay on the Grand National level, obviously with the state and regional with the bodies. But I think as as the top organizations, they could that's something that they could definitely look into. 5 maybe even just 5 years down the road as something to work on. As technology continues to expand.
Agreed. Yeah, I think it's a great idea, and we all as fans like it to. I remember when NASCAR launched the the Next Television thing, where you could go and rent a machine at an event where you had real time telemetry to any car you wanted, plus the the piped in broadcast from the booth and scanning into all the cars. I think at some point, maybe we look at something like that. Can we monitor in race radio and in race communications for people who are interested in learning what's going on? But yeah, I think the sky's the limit with and then to your point before, it's just a matter of trying new things and trying to get them to stick. And I think from a social media perspective, I think we've come leaps and bounds from where we were, and and maybe within the next few years we'll continue to see innovations. And I for myself would love to get to a spot where fairgrounds, at least at the bigger pools, had that infrastructure, had the bandwidth, had the wireless, communication. For those of us in the media who like to report, it's very frustrating sometimes to not be able to get a cell signal or not be able to post live on Facebook or do live videos because of the area where you are. And I think if promoters were in tune to that and maybe contacted some of the phone companies, at least for the big events, to get more bandwidth, it can only help.
And at least, or maybe work out where it could be a weekend type setup if that's possible. Maybe make it more cost effective. But if you look at racing, it all started at the racetracks. They're the ones that made the improvements for NASCAR to expand to where they're at. And so I think we have to work with the fair boards and the fairgrounds or wherever these events are held, if they're not held at a fairgrounds, where we do have some of these that are popping up on their own sites, like we have out with the Galat Motorsports Park or at the Hillsborough Charity Pull. That would be a little, because in being here in Southwest Wisconsin, cell signal and the train is obviously something that we have to work with, and technology just continues to expand, and we just need to maybe try and stay with technology at least, so we can provide that fan experience that I think that we're just to up it a level each year.
Well, and I think to your point, even if the promoters can't go full scale, perhaps if they were to have a section of the fairground that was wired, that those of us who wanted to do live reporting could just go to and have a spot. Like, for example, Bowling Green, Ohio this year, there were certain parts of the fairgrounds where it was sketchy, but the media booth had a T1 connection. They had fiber connections in there, and so you could do whatever you needed to do, in the media room.
Yeah,
and I think if more people kind of went to that model, if infrastructure across the entire fairground is not cost competitive or doesn't make sense, maybe you have one section where where media people or anyone who needs to utilize social media can go and jump on a Wi-Fi connection and do their business.
Yeah, and that's it's just going to be a work in progress. Most of these fairgrounds are only having 2 or 3 events a year for at the big motorsports, and maybe they'll hold a swap meet or something, or some type of meeting or something like that. And that's something different versus these racetracks that are having these huge events, maybe 4, 5, 6, 7, sometimes 10, or who knows, all these different type of racing organizations. So they have the capacity to do it. And, we just need to at least just keep up. And I think we're in the right direction with these organizations, at least on the top level. And the state organizations are doing better now as well, too. Badger State and the Wisconsin Tractor Pullers here in Wisconsin are doing a better job with their websites and, photos and videos, which is all a positive to, just let people know what we're doing here in the sport of truck and tractor pulling.
Absolutely. And I think it's going to be interesting to see where they all take it. I'm still blown away. Many years ago, if you'd have told me that you could stream an NTPA event live, as it was happening, I would have told you were crazy. But they do it now very well. You pay one price and you get, the events. I've utilized that several times this year. Tomah, Wisconsin, and then again, I think Chapel Hill, Tennessee.
Yep.
Whenever I wasn't on the road, I would buy those and dial them up just so that I could see what was going on. And I wish that everyone would do that. I think it would be great if you could, at least for the Grand National or the Super Nationals and the Champions Tour, elite events, like maybe the finals in Wheatland, Missouri. I wish that maybe Lucas Oil would look at heading in that direction. But they have, of course, Lucas Oil Television, which
the app is.
Yeah, the app is coming, and they've got film crews on site. So I think it's I think we're close, and I think it's going to be interesting to see where they take it from here. No question.
Yeah, I think NTPA has definitely been out in the front, especially with the live streaming. The instant live results have been just great. If you can't do the live streaming, you can do those right on your computer. It refreshes itself, and to keep up that way, if maybe you're doing something at home, and then you can refresh and see who's coming up and who just pulled. And so they've done a great job there. Lucas Oil, I'm looking forward to the app that they're having and this on-demand type of selection that they're going to be able to offer, and I think they're only going to be able to expand off that, and probably I would assume head to live streaming eventually down the line with the app, the way that they have it set up, and hopefully they'll be able to do more live results as well in the future, and it all just takes bodies and then of course being able to access, like you talked about earlier, being able to access to the internet and get those live results up.
Well, and like I say, doing most of my announcing for Lucas Oil this summer, we did a whole lot more of the live, jumping on Facebook before the event to talk about what we were getting into that evening. And I know
Jesse Post has been doing a great job with that.
Yeah, he does. Jesse Post does an amazing job, and he updates all of the, he does a lot of the photos, and he also updates the website after the class. And so I worked a lot with him this summer. But also, the first event of the season down there in Saluda, South Carolina, the show that Lucas Oil taped was up there, within a couple or 3 days on the app, on the Lucas Oil app. And they used the live talent, so I was there, and they had my voice against the video until the on-air talent went in and actually produced the show that would it go on. But it's not live, but it was all summer. It was within a day or two at the most.
Yeah, and the productions that have come such a long ways, both with the RFD TV and the AP productions and what they do, and of course with Lucas Oil and their productions. I mean, just from the first year that NTPA was on RFD TV to now, I mean, both organizations do a great job of presenting polling in a different way. They both have their unique styles, and I think that's great for polling. Outlaw on Velocity as well. They're doing a great job out west, and polling has just come even a long ways from in the last 5 years in terms of the TV exposure and social media.
Agreed, and I think it's only going to continue to grow. I know, for example, this sort of cross-referencing of sports is another thing I think is important. I don't know how familiar you are, but this year, Joe Ader got to take the Geico Modified to the summer race, the July race at Talladega.
Yeah, that's huge, and I think polling should take a in the off season, like the Daytona 500, if they could somehow get down there, maybe set up a booth, whether it's NTPA, Lucas Oil, or both down there. Maybe if they could get a couple vehicles, because they're all motorheads down there. So I mean, I'm pretty sure everyone was intrigued to see this 4-engine vehicle at Talladega.
Absolutely, and I know having talked with Joe Ader about it, he said it was just busy from the minute they parked that tractor there. There was just nothing but incredible interest the entire weekend, and even NASCAR drivers. I think. The Geico driver came over and actually sat in the tractor for a bit and got had a photo op. I can't remember now who it was. If you said his name,
I'm trying to think who is the Geico sponsor. I don't watch NASCAR as much as I used to. So
I'm picturing his face, but Jamie something, I believe. I don't know. Anyway, he there was a photo op with him in the tractor.
Yeah, not Jamie Boyer, right? Or is it Jamie Boyer?
No. Jamie Mears, I believe. Is that right?
There was I can't even think now, because his dad was a racer too, I believe.
No, his uncle. Was an IndyCar driver.
Yeah, Indy. Yep. And did he start at IndyCar and then he moved over to NASCAR too?
Yeah, that's correct.
Yep. And Boyer, he's been to Bowling Green, right? Was it last year or 2 years
Boyer's
ago?
been there.
Because he did a Twitter feed from it.
Yeah, Boyer's been there. Sam Hornish used to go a lot too.
Okay.
IndyCar driver.
Yeah, so I mean, those are the types. If we can get even NASCAR drivers interested, I mean, just look at the followers that they could bring to the sport. And of course, if you go to like a Daytona 500, you have 100 to 200,000 people around the racetrack at any one time. I can't imagine the people. I'm pretty sure Joe Ader was probably way overwhelmed on the interest, because
he seemed to be. Well, he was just delighted. He was delighted
with
how well it was received, and I think he'll do that again if he's asked to. I don't think there's any question.
Yeah, it would be like like you said, it'd be really great, especially like with the Daytona 500, maybe like someone that has a sponsorship like Geico or any of the other vehicles that have those types of sponsorships to possibly get their vehicles down there on display, and they can talk about the upcoming season. Maybe Greg Randall can go down with them if they're, with NTPA or anyone from PPL, and set up a booth down there. And I think I know NTPA goes to the convention. Is it in Las Vegas? They have a booth out there, and so they do a great job of promoting that way and getting into different parts of the country and trying to promote the sport truck and tractor pulling that way. But getting to these big motorsports events will only just help bring more people and interest, whether it's watching online or maybe even if they're close to an event. The southeast corner is limited in terms of pulls that way, but the East Coast, with Galat Motorsports and Saluda now starting to gain interest, I think that would be a really appealing for, if there's anyone in Florida to take a trip up there.
I tell you what I'd like to see, and again, I'm we're probably way ahead of ourselves here, but I remember many moons ago, and I won't mention the sanctioning body because it's no longer around, but many moons ago in the early 2000s, there was one pull, 1 year, I believe, at Bristol Motor Speedway in Tennessee. The famous half mile bull ring there. They pulled on pit road.
Yeah, I remember. Was that ATPA? I believe back
Yeah,
in the day.
And
ESPN, I believe, was there for filming.
Yeah,
Speed Vision. I believe they were on Speed Vision.
Maybe a two-night show. I was there, and I remember it very vividly. The crowd was, sparse.
Yeah.
But
you got that huge venue like that, so it's probably kind of hard to judge when.
Right. But I think if we could do more stuff like that, I know. The Lucas Oil Pro Pulling League, I believe 2 years ago, went out to the big, Wild Horse Park in Phoenix, and had an event, and it was well received. And I think they're going to have to continue to do stuff like that. Try to get to some of those, monster venues, and just, maybe you don't sell out the first couple of years, but you try to grow it, and then you're going to kind of cross pollinate the roundy round guys and make pulling fans out of them.
Yeah, I mean, if you can bring the best of the best in your pulling organization to these venues, whether it's out in Chandler, Arizona, or Bristol, Tennessee, where you could, put a pulling track on pit lane, if we can generate the sponsorship and just promote, I think, you can definitely continue to grow in that ways, and that's, I've always thought about. I don't know if it, what it took to put on that one-time event. I'm sure the money to get Bristol Motor Speedway in a weekend, that's probably the biggest key. I'm sure they're busy. Their schedule to fit into the schedule and the polling schedule that's already set in place. But it, like you said, it's something that they can definitely strive to do. If they can have a football game at Bristol Motor Speedway, I think they can put on a polling event.
Exactly. You hit the nail right on the head, and they sold out there for the football game.
Yeah. Even if you couldn't even see what was going on in that little.
Yeah, and it was unbelievable. I mean, I found myself being like, man, I wish I'd gone to that. And I'm not even a fan of either of those teams that were playing. But, I think, to your point, it's just a matter of finding the sponsorship, finding the corporate dollars to where, if the thing doesn't sell out and you lose a little money the first year or two, you're not, you can still put it in and try again. But, I think that's what's going to take things over, as far as getting us into other venues and kind of cross-pollinating, pulling with other big motorsports.
Yeah, that's for sure. And before we wrap up here, do you have any big plans for the off season, upcoming for your show, or anything that you're going to be doing here before we hit to, we'll be a couple months away from Gordyville already?
Yeah, you're right. No, I'll just kind of continue to work on my show and sort of follow storylines that are starting. I always try in the midwinter to understand, if anybody's building new vehicles or changing equipment or, any sort of off-season changes for teams that I need to be aware of so that I can speak to them, as the seasons are beginning. And then, before you know it, we start in Gordyville, and then there'll be, there'll be the Cloverdale Pull, and then Louisville.
Yeah.
So,
it'll come up really fast. So.
I try to enjoy my rest and my time off because, as you're well aware, once the season starts, it's a grind, and so I'll hopefully be asked to be back with Clint Tucker and his crew in Gordyville this year, and then before you know it, it's April, and you're off playing to South Carolina.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
But I'm going to take the next few weeks and enjoy the holidays with the family, and of course we're going to do the banquet. The Lucas Oil's banquet is next weekend, or this coming weekend actually. This Saturday the 29th at the Hyatt in Indianapolis.
Yep.
They're going to crown all of their champions. So once that's done, and the farmers are done harvesting, and everybody kind of just chills out for a few weeks, and then it's time to go pulling again. But I'm going to keep working on the show and look at ways to continue to grow it and try to get some more followers on the Facebook page, and hopefully be ready for Gordyville, and hope to maybe see you guys out there somewhere. I'd like to make the Hillsboro Pull. I still haven't gone to see Slama's operation.
Yeah,
up
so
there.
hopefully, yeah.
Never been to Toma. So I've never been into I've never been into your state to see a pull, and maybe this year I got to try.
Yeah, either Toma or Hillsboro. Definitely, we got to see your dad and brother up in Toma. That was great to see them up there, and we got a chance to just talk to him briefly. His first time in Toma as well. And of course, it's hard to get away from your own region and what you're familiar with, and the polls that you come accustomed to. It's the same up here with the Badger State, trying to get away from the polling schedule up here. But yeah, if you definitely have the opportunity, we'll invite you up with open arms, and we'll know you have a great time polling up, as a spectator. Maybe we'll get you on the mic up at Hillsboro, or they'll sneak you on it up at Toma as well. So,
sure.
It'd
be great to Miles, my brother. The first year he went to Toma, I believe Jared Nelson, who we talked about before, got the victory there, and then they talked about what a wonderful place it was. It's on my list. It's on my short list. That is Hillsboro. I'd love to get up there, and hopefully this year I can do it. But if you make it to Gordyville, or you make it down to Louisville,
I will be at Gordyville for sure.
Okay, great.
Louisville, it's a hit and miss. It always depends on what's going on. But I'll be at Gordyville for sure. I helped Clint out with his polling videos up here in the Badger State, and so.
Excellent. Good. Well, then we'll plan on seeing you there.
Yep. So I'll definitely be in Gordyville for Friday and Saturday. Won't make it down for Thursday, but at least I'll be there for Friday and Saturday. And hopefully we'll be down in Louisville again. I got to make it down last year, and hopefully we'll be maybe down there and rooting on the Remedy with the limited pro class this year. So we'll see.
That'd be great. I hope that happens.
Yeah, we have our fingers crossed up here, and not just to watch limited pro class, but I think he has a good shot with the Badger State Points Championship and this year, and he'll definitely shake things up at Louisville if he's down there waiting in line to talk in the mic.
Yeah, absolutely.
It'll definitely make it for an interesting. So,
but we'll see here soon. That list will be out before you know it.
Yeah, yep, and it's always interesting to see. So this will be a big shake-up, with the limited pro and the four-wheel drive class making it back. So the gas truck.
I'm glad. I think they're staying on the cutting edge and trying to mix things up, and I applaud them.
Yeah. So hopefully they'll just continue to do a little bit more of that each year, and just kind of get that fan base back to where it was just a few years ago. So the website, is it pulledin.com, or is that the...
Yeah, it's Get Pulled In, GET, pulledin.com, but the Facebook page is facebook.com/Get Pulled In.
Okay, Jeremy, thanks for taking some time with us this evening, and good luck with the rest of the off-season and restful off-season, and we'll see you in the winter months here coming up.
Absolutely, can't wait. You guys have a good evening.
You too, thanks a lot.
Yeah.
Bye. That was Jeremy Krieger joining us, the famous Krieger family, as they continue their announcing traditions as well. That's getpulledin.com. He has a podcast. His next episode coming up this weekend. Check that out. He has Jeremy Nelson with the Nelson polling team, the two-wheel drive polling team, the big family of polling down there. and on the PPL circuit, and they hit a couple in TPA as well. So we're going to wrap up the show here. For Jason Schultz and Brandon Johnson, I'm Ryan Zolk. Again, tune in next week. Let's Grow Pulling every Monday night right here, 7 o'clock Central Time, and have a great rest of your week.